Good evening, folks. For those stateside who happen to tune into a PSA Canada thing, bit of a weird decision, but nonetheless, happy Turkey Day to those of you stateside, and happy Thursday to those who are not stateside. Are we playing around with StreamYard, Brad?
Oh, sorry. Is that me doing that?
Yeah, that was you doing that. I haven't clicked on anything.
Oh, okay.
I literally have my hands right here, and I'm hand talking.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Brad's forgetting he's got the ability to play around with certain things and touch.
I was just trying to get the chat up on the side. I don't know, it's not there.
That's all right. So right now we're looking at it. So yeah, thank you to those of you who are joining us. And if any of you are, like I said, stateside, happy Turkey Day. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. You've probably stuffed your face by now, so you might be keeled over, and this is the only thing you watch. So that's important. That's kind of key. So Dave here, good evening. Absolutely. Heard 1 hour would burn 300 calories. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That helps a lot. Santa Sonora says, Brad, stop touching stuff. Ironic from Eric.
I know, right?
I'm just going to leave it at that. Hobby Cop, good. Hello all. Absolutely. Hello, Hobby Cop. Thank you for joining. So folks, I'll let you know. There's no specific agenda. Carlos had to do something he doesn't like to do. He actually had to go to the office. It's a horrible place, and let us never speak of it again. I was there, and I don't want to speak of it. But nonetheless, it made for a long day. I remembered why I got away from commuting in the first place and why I don't want to go back. Just saying. Hey, listen, the commute back and forth from downtown Toronto to here, it's not too bad, but it's like...
it's not worth it.
No. It's basically 2 hours wasted of my time that I could have been doing something else. Just 2 hours sitting there going like, all right, well, I guess I'll listen to music. Fair enough. So Dave here says, thanks. It was a good day. No arguments. The wife is happy. That's a good day, Dave. That's a good day. That works out. Yana, good evening. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the sympathy. I'll take it. But yeah, well, at least we managed. Look, just testament to how tired I've been the last couple of weeks, and specifically this week. I was actually going in to punch in the hours because even though like it's full time, I still got to punch in hours because they monitor whatever. So I go to punch it in, and I found out that I had actually booked Friday off. So I actually have a long weekend, which is great. But how tired am I that I forgot that I have Friday off? And I was like, I literally had to stare at it for a minute. I go, when did I book this? A month ago. I was like, oh, well, that wasn't last minute at all.
Just want the day off.
I basically, you've got a certain amount of days you can roll over. So basically, you've got X amount of days, but if you, they actually reduce the number you could roll over. So they're like, use them or lose them. Anything beyond these do not roll over into next year. So it's like, I'm like, all right, we're booking this day off. Wanted to make sure we covered holidays usually at the bank. Honestly, there's almost no point in taking days off during December because it's dead quiet. So you want to waste your vacation days when, like, guess what? You just keep an eye on the email, answer whatever you need to answer, and you basically have the day off anyway, even while you're logged in.
Yeah.
You want to waste a day off on that when you could have an actual day off? It's strategy, folks. Strategy.
Isn't it a 2 day? Like it's pretty much a 2 day holiday in the U.S. anyways. Like I don't think Friday.
Yeah.
Like
I know there are a lot of folks because they've got branches out in the States. I know a lot of those folks who basically took the week off. So because I saw a lot of that, I'll be back next week. Be back on Monday. Right. So if they take the Thursday off, most of them are going to take the Friday off. I know usually the Thursday. I love American Thanksgiving because usually it's double or triple header football. Right. So if you enjoy a little bit of football, it's kind of fun to be able to sit there and kind of watch it. Absolutely. Triple header? Perfect. Yeah. So it's good. Like if I was at home, the best part is I could have had it on the TV while I was working. It's like, nope, in the office can't do it. Doesn't work it. Yeah, most people take Friday.
Great, you can watch sports from like 3 in the morning right now.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, look,
3 in the morning.
I've been having some fun because I'm watching I don't get to watch the games as much as I'd like, but I know a couple of guys who are keeping an eye on the current Dallas Stars. And Jason Robertson's killing it, man. That kid's killing it. And it's like, I don't collect too much from the current team, but it's like, I'm not going to buy any Jason Robertson. That stuff's going through the roof. Every time he scores a goal, the price goes up.
You know what? There's certain guys that I don't get to watch that often, but like he's an incredibly talented kid. Like, man, he's good.
Yeah.
Like it's not just a flash in the pan or like he's going to be injuries, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's going to be a big scorer for a long time.
Look, I'll tell you, Brad, you know what this... Yeah. Go ahead, Luke, sorry.
I was going to say, he's a small kid. That's the only thing, right? So
today's game,
6'3", 200 pounds?
Yeah.
On paper.
I was going to say, like, that's
on paper. I bet you if you met him, he's probably 5'10", 150.
Oh, you're saying the Hockeys are gimmicking the heights in some ways. Oh my goodness. Controversy,
they definitely
Kevin.
Do.
Controversy. They're like, we measured him in skates. All right, all right. If you say so, all right, whatever you say.
Yeah.
All I was gonna say was, it's bizarre to me though to think, in my brain, I'm still when I think of Dallas, I have my brain locked to the 90s and early 2000s. That was more of a defensive minded team. So thinking of like a goal scorer and a playmaker of that type, it's very rare, especially for that franchise. But look, here's the part that scares me, Brad. This is why I know the end is nigh. Jamie Benn is point a game. He sucked for years. Sucked. Like he's trash. Every time I would go buy cards at the show, like I enjoy collecting his cards still. Like I enjoy it. But it's like I would go and be like, it's like, you want that for Ben? You out of your damn mind. Is that in yen?
Yeah.
Maybe in yen. I'll give you that in yen. That's all you're getting. And it's like he's actually playing a game. I'm like, what is happening right now? I'm scared. I'm terrified. It frightens me.
That's so good. I should mention too that to Hobby Cop in the chat that some cards came back for you, so I put them. They're at the store.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, you can come by anytime.
So my Cowboys One, love that there's all the Black Friday sales here in Canada. Yes, some of them are okay. Usually, this is the Black Friday is usually when I go to a couple of the. I basically will go online and take advantage of some Black Friday and Cyber Monday stuff, and that's usually where I'll go. It's like, all right, look, take advantage of it. And from a collecting standpoint, by the way, now is where all the ComC ones have started activating and kicking in, because you get a free promotion as a seller. I put a bunch of my stuff off for like a discount because of the Black Friday. I go, listen, if I can sell some of the stuff, let's do it. Why not? Off days to watch Gold World Cup. There you go. Good evening, Bobby. Good day, gentlemen of the PSA Persuasion. Thank you very much. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. So here's kind of a question. Obviously, most of the focus is going to be on, right now, you guys are still piling through a lot of the submissions and stuff. Question. How's the progress coming in on that? Are we making good progress? How are we doing on that stuff?
Yeah, so it was good. And we had the smoothest transition of our shipment that left Halifax on Tuesday. So our first shipment that we had from the Toronto Expo left here Tuesday at 4 p.m. and it arrived in Santa Ana smooth. Everything was perfect. It was 8 boxes and it arrived at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Perfect smooth sailing, no problem whatsoever, which was great because there was a lot of value there and I was glad to get those done. So what we did is we got half of the bulk submissions went on that shipment, plus every card from economy and up went on that. So they should be all, the holiday's going to mess things up. The package is there. None of them are in the system yet. But by Monday, every card from economy up plus half the bulk will be entered into the PSA system, which will be great for us. So that's when the clock starts, as we always go over, that's when the clock starts to tick on the Express, Super Express, Walkthrough, Premium. Like we even put it down, it's a 7-day turnaround on those from when PSA enters into the system. So yeah, that was awesome. So the other packages, our goal is to ship on Tuesday again. So that gives us the weekend to finish it up. So everything from the Toronto, everything we received will be in Santa Ana by next Wednesday. So about 2 weeks after the show, and every card will be there. So
Nice. I like it. So it's going to be fun because I do have like the one order. Most of the stuff that I submitted was bulk, but I do have the one of the precious cargo that I put in one of the others. So then that would have been in that part of that shipment. So it'll be
they're there now.
Oh yeah. So that'll be interesting. I'll be kind of curious. That'll be a fun one when it comes. We'll get there when we get there, but we'll have a little fun with that one.
Yeah.
Read a couple of these here. So Nova Girl saying AMG having Black Friday deals, doing crazy Black Friday deals, Brad.
We do. Yeah, we're going to be launching it. Everything they were working on tonight at the store to price everything, but everything in the store will be on sale. So
Nice.
it's
I'll
something
fly
that
there tomorrow.
Yeah, something that we try to do, but there's crazy, like lots of stuff at cost. We have a goal that we want to do in 2 days. It's going to go Friday and Saturday. Again, nothing to do with the market conditions, but this is our every year, regardless if the market's hot or not, we do a big Black Friday sale. So there's going to be tons of stuff in there.
Very nice. I like it. So real quick, I'm just going to set this up here because one of the questions brings that up, so I'll come to it. Hobby Cop says, awesome. Was there Wednesday? Missed you. So Hobby Cop will come by. So that's good. Good evening, Paul. Evening. Is this where real recognizes real? That's his new line. So I like that. So real recognizes real, Paul. Love it. Is this the PSA Canada site close to launching? It is. It is. PSAcanada.ca. So I'll quickly show it here since you mentioned it, Hobby Cop. So it is available there. It's just getting kind of going off the ground here, but it is available for you to check out. So it is there. and I'm going to give a little feedback. We're going to get some things updated and adjusted on here, but I think they're starting to make some progress. But the bones are there. You can actually check it out and kind of look over it a little bit, and then there'll be an opportunity to see some more stuff in there, and it's going to expand. And then the next thing that's going to come in there is the order status, so that's forthcoming. So right now that's in progress, still under construction. Consider the old under construction GIF from back in the day. But the rest of it here, as far as I tell, I was puttering around a little bit. It seems to be up and running. So the rest of it is there if you want to check it out. It gives you a little bit of info. But then later on, you'll be able to check the order status here, and it'll add a little functionality to it. But yes, psacanada.ca. So you can check that out.
Yeah, that's awesome. The one thing we're talking with PSA as well, how to directly link it with PSA system on the back end. That's going to take a little bit longer. But we're going ahead with the Google Docs, and we were hoping to have that done before the Toronto show. And obviously just with the sheer volume that we received over the last 3 weeks. And with us being in Toronto, then Sherry and Luke going out to Vancouver, doing the Bossa show, and then coming back. Kevin's got an absolute ton of cards. Luke's got a ton of cards. Everyone's got tons of cards. So our biggest thing was
it's all done. It's all in other people's hands now. They got to pay their invoices. I finished 5 minutes before I jumped on here. I'm good.
I love that confidence, eh? That's great.
Now it's everyone else's fault. So they can't say they haven't gotten their invoice. Now they have to pay it. So
now we got to do is now I got to reach out to Kevin and go, all right, Kevin, 500 cards, let's go. Start again. Just when this is done. That's when I got to drop more stuff on there.
I've neglected the incoming side for the past week because I got, like Brad said, like a couple thousand cards back all at once, and they were all out of order. So I spent multiple days putting them all into order and then invoicing people and then packing them to ship, and now I have to catch up on the incoming side. So
yeah, I did ask that question too, just so you know, Kevin. I haven't had an answer. I don't have an answer for that. Like, why all of a sudden now, like when we get an order back, if it's a 500 card order, they're all out of order. So there's no, so you have to actually sort them to put them all by their cert numbers so they go in order. Obviously they were done at one point in order. I don't know how they could get mixed up that much. Like, it's
typically the last box of an order has some random one-offs, but like these boxes were like every single card was like 45 numbers away from one another. So I had to lay out every submission of 500 cards and go one by one and put them all in, and it was terrible.
You know what it was like? I don't know if you, Luke, I don't know, Kevin, you probably never did this. Carlos, there's no doubt in my mind you did this at one point. Vending cases. So back in 1980, in 89, 90, and 90, 91, I would sort vending cases. When
later than that, but yes, but I am familiar.
Okay.
Yes.
9091 O-Pee-Chee was 528 cards. Barry, that owned B&B Cards, would give me a vending case, and he'd say, all right, you sort, and they were all mixed up. There was no rhyme or reason. You sort it out, you get 2 free sets. And it would take me like a weekend to sort. So I think you got 24 sets out of a vending case, or 22. And I would get 2 free sets at the end of it. And I thought it was the greatest deal in the world. But when you think about it now, it was like probably less than $1 an hour, right?
I was gonna say, like, we need to redo the math on that. Look, that era of sorting. So Kevin, to put it in perspective, like I said, a different time, around the same time period, but a little bit later. But the sorting of bulk commons and bulk lots in that kind of thing, basically, is what permanently ruined my desire to sort anything. Like even with my collections and the stuff that I do, I'm like, all right, I literally have a collection of pushing 2,500 Mike Medano cards. I have stuff sorted in certain binders and stuff. Those are fine. I've got certain things sorted by brand. I've cataloged everything. I know what I have. But if you ask me to find a specific insert or memorabilia card, it's like, I know it's in the Upper Deck box. It's like, where is it? Somewhere in the Upper Deck box. It's a 3,200 count box. It's in there somewhere. It's like, but Carlos is like, nope, it's not sorting. We're done. Sorting's over.
I loved sorting back then.
Luke, if you ever rekindle your love of sorting, I have boxes. You're
Back
more than
then it
welcome
was so
to
nice. It's like a Friday or Saturday night. You come home, you get like a pizza loaf or something, and a bottle of pop, and I'd be watching TV or playing Sega Genesis, and then sorting all these cards and making sets and sets and sets.
Yeah, I can't do it
Yeah.
anymore. And the other thing I discovered is that after a while, like I don't know, I guess it depends on how you guys do the sorting. After a while, like I have terrible posture when I try to sort, and after a while, it's like at this point, it's like no, my neck, my back doesn't like it. Like we're not doing it. Forget it. We're
I'm,
done. It's over.
I'm
I'm hiring people for
6'4",
this.
sitting sick crisscross applesauce on the floor for 5 hours, and then I have to I just end up laying on my floor for like 40 minutes because I can't move my legs. But it's worth it.
It doesn't get easier. It gets worse. It gets worse. It gets worse later on. So Eric here saying this website's not familiar. We actually showed you the website. The other one's only been alluded to. In fairness, Bobby let all of us in. It's just you. Moving on. Kudos to Kevin. I was filling up my sub with Sherry at the expo. By chance, Kevin was helping out a person beside with a huge Pokemon tournament card, and I overheard. Kevin was awesome. There you go. Kudos to you.
Oh, that kid is in Brazil right now playing in the Latin American Championships. He is such a nice kid. Both him and his brother, such good people.
Nice, nice.
It was nice to meet them for sure.
Good stuff. I like it. So let's see. I like this. I like that here it's also included the phonetic pronunciation of the name. That is extremely considerate. Web02. We're going to go based on what's written here. Using the 86 clear collation now for PSA returns. Apparently, yes. Apparently. You're going to have to see if you find some Jordans in there. They're not setting them in order. Kind of scares you. Ups the chance of identical cards getting messed up. No, you guys are on top of it. It would make your lives easier. Yeah. Look, in preference, like at the end of the day, we're always very transparent about a lot of this stuff. I think almost all the graders and a lot of companies in the space, there is still room for efficiencies. There are certain things that, guys, I understand we want to get stuff out there. That's important. That's critical. But we want to get it right. We got to get the right stuff in the right place. And the best way to do that is put it in the right order.
Yeah.
If it's sequential, put it sequentially.
I should reiterate that out of the 3,000 cards I got back, they're all in the exact order that I submitted them in, other than 2 cards. Mm-hmm. They were just not put into the boxes in order.
Right.
That's
so
there's
when
no
you get the order back,
order.
Yeah, but when you get the order back, it doesn't. The order goes in. Every card's numbered, so it's impossible for it to mess up. So every card's numbered, and then when they're graded, we get all the serial numbers run in a complete sequence.
Yeah.
Yes.
So somehow they're graded in sequence. By the time they get to the shipping department, that's somewhere along that process from Q2 to shipping. That's when they get mixed up. So it's impossible. All we have to do is sort them back in the order that they were graded in. So no cards can get, like when your card's submitted, it's assigned a cert number, and that's what stays with it. So even though it doesn't come back in order, it's still your card. So it's impossible for them to mess it up.
No, for sure. But to be clear, though, it still makes more sense. They should ship it in order, because in all honesty,
absolutely.
Your point about it being sequential is true, but they could totally mess it up if you do the sorting, because when they ship it, if you already have it in order, then you know everything is sequential. Order begins here, it ends here, and then you know box 1 to box 10, box 50, whatever it's going to be. You want, for everybody's sake, it's more efficient. Just put it in the order, numerically, and it's better for everybody.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
I had one order of like 200 and some cards that came back sequentially in order.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, like a 500 card order, if it comes back sequentially, like I can typically split it apart in like 45 minutes to where it needs to be. These ones took probably 3.5 hours just to sort and go through and make sure every card was there, and then rebox them and then distribute them that way. So it's just like an added sorting factor that's just a lot longer.
Yeah. It's one of those things. Like at the end of the day, there's still always room for improvement. There is room to do better. So we shouldn't be like, at the end of the day, as long as you got everything you're supposed to get, that's good. But we're still not. But that doesn't mean we can't say, hey, it would be much better and more efficient if this is the way it came out, because it's better for the person on the receiving end. Whether it's an individual or whether it's a business, it doesn't matter. Make it make sense for everybody. Long term, it'll be better customer experience for everybody if you do it that way. Yes, Bobby's right. It is a C folio. If there was a stretching routine available on YouTube for sports cards, yes, Paul has a stretching tutorial. I already told Carlos Sr. he might have to get into yoga because he hurt his back a little while ago, and it takes a really long time for him to heal up at this point. I say, you're gonna have to become a yogi. I'm sorry, you're gonna have to get over it. I spent today sorting 85 OPG baseball into sets. Great day in my opinion. Hey, there you go. As long as you love the sorting, it's good. Dave here says maybe when they're taking photos after grading, it could be, because now that's more part of the process. So, which is good. But at the same time, like I said, that just means though that they have to work on their processes to still be able to do it, and it should still wind up in sequential order. It still makes more sense. If the order comes in that way, get it out that way. and that way everybody wins. Like I said, there's still room for improvement. It's a critique, and we can still give a critique that's a valid critique. So right now, like I said, guys, it is a little bit of an open-ended discussion tonight. No specific agenda, because obviously the guys were working on a lot of sorting. We're building up to the holidays, and it's been a lot of stuff going on. But I do have a couple of things that we can definitely chat about. Now, one of them, first of all, I do mention it from time to time, since we had Sanderson Orr here earlier. Just remember, he does pay for the like button. It is free for you, but I charge him. And he's rich, so we got to make him pay. It is important. So just want to throw it out there for anybody, in case you weren't aware. The like button is free for you, but we charge him, and really nobody likes him, and we like him to pay. It's important. It's important that everybody knows. In the spirit of the season, in the spirit of giving, he should give us money by you hitting the like button. Now, moving on from that, question for you guys. I want to kind of leave it open-ended here. I know towards the end of this year, obviously after Expo, and a very productive year in terms of the YouTube channel, in terms of the hobby, in terms of collecting, in terms of everything else, I'm looking at kind of slowing down. I have stuff that's coming in, and when the next set of stuff comes in, that's kind of it for me. I've kind of shut it down for the year for the most part. I may pick up one or two things here, but it's going to be very sparse comparatively. Are you guys still like actively hunting stuff for yourselves, for your collection, or do you kind of take a little bit of a break here towards the holiday? I'm just kind of curious where you're sitting at rolling into December. Kevin, let me start with you.
I mean, I'm always open to buying stuff, but
Sure, yeah.
currently it's a little slower. Obviously, I mean, I'm having a baby in like 45 days at this point. Well, January 20th.
Sure.
So kind of winding down that way. I'm trying to move a lot of like the sealed Pokemon product that I have on hand, because I just have so much that I've just been accumulating and not really actively selling, because the PSA side of things is where I divulge most of my time. So more selling than buying at the moment, but if a deal pops up, then I'll definitely look at it. But
yeah, it's more of an
I have to
opportunistic thing. It's more of an opportunistic thing.
yeah.
It's fair.
Can we buy the set together, Kev?
Oh yeah, Luke. We can buy this set. Everybody wants to get in on my deals. Everybody wants in on my deals.
Yeah, we had Kevin shut us out, me and Luke, on a deal. He just he took it all for himself. So we have an inside joke now. Me and Luke are going to do a deal together, and we'll shut out Kevin. So
Well, I think
Didn't you guys do it, Luke? Didn't you guys do a deal together? Comic books?
we did a Bowman Chrome Brady. If you want in on it, it's got a great history.
Yeah.
I don't want it.
Well, look, you guys should have shut him out after he denied you, Brad, the glorious Brett Favre and Tom Brady dual memorabilia autograph. Come on.
I agree.
I haven't got that yet. I'm working on that.
You still haven't got it, eh?
No, the guy doesn't want to sell anything, but he has all this like Brady rookie year stuff. So I was talking to him about getting it graded, but he doesn't want to get it graded, so it just sits in a closet. And I'm like, that's not good stuff to be sitting in a closet.
You should tell him to really look at that card and understand that half of that card is a scandalous scoundrel with horrible morality, and the other one is Brett Favre. Sorry, wait. No, sorry. I think I stick with what I said.
Little bias there for sure.
Look, I have no idea what you're talking about. That's always one of my favorite things, because I've got my Favre cards, and sometimes I'll get a question like, but he did all this stuff. It's like, I'm not collecting it because he's a great guy. I'm collecting it because he was a great player for my team at the time. That's the only reason why. Look, he's a jerk. And look, if they prosecute him, so be it. Do it to the fullest extent of the law. But I enjoyed his play during the time that he played. He entertained me for that time. That's the reason why. That's it.
I just go by the old adage that Brad taught me, saying, if I need you in a deal, I'll come to you. But if I don't, I'm going to do it myself.
There you go. Hobby Cop says, I think I'm a D-Gen. Just finished watching Disney show. Welcome to Wrexham. Soccer documentary. Then watched T-Bait being upset that there were no soccer level 5 player cards being produced. That is some D-Gen activities. I will agree with that. Sanderson Orr hates us both. There's 4 of us on the screen, man. That's not both. But you know what he loves? He loves when people hit the like button, because then we charge him.
Is Wrexham the one that Ryan Reynolds owns?
That's a good question. I don't know. Apparently it's a documentary, so maybe that could be a thing. So here Dave says, "Yep, CMAS for the wife takes first, second, and third place. If that all gets taken care of." No, it's fair, Dave. Reasonable. I'm with you. Adriano, good evening. Been monitoring the pop on an old Digimon card I subbed, and I think I got a PSA 10 pop 1. Nice. Well done. And Hobby Cup says yes. So to your question, Kevin, yes. Very nice.
Okay.
Very nice. Yep, him and one of the guys from Always Sunny. Oh, very good. Okay, cool. Nicely done. But
We did have. I had a weird one this week that I could get your guys' opinion. This is something that's kind of. Luke, I mentioned it to you about the Zegras. So we have a new customer, seemed like very nice guy on the phone I chatted to, but it's the first time this ever happened. He had 3 Trevor Zegras young guns that he took pictures of prior to when they were submitted, and they came back, and they're all PSA 10s. But he had pictures of his cards, and it looks like there's a little white on the top of the cards, even though they're in PSA 10 holders. And he was concerned about it. And he was thinking that these weren't his cards. And I know that I'm the only one that touched the cards on this end. Mm-hmm. But it's funny when you look at it camera angles can play tricks sometimes. So if you can look at a card from a 45-degree angle, and you can look at it from a downward angle or from a strictly on top of the card. But it was the first time I've ever had someone call to say, hey, you know what? I got 3 PSA 10s, but I don't think these were my cards. It was a weird situation to be in.
Right. Well, look, this is where I kind of have to kind of defer back to my general advice. And this is, again, it's not practical for everybody. But if there are cards that you're particularly, that are critical to you, that are important to you, I don't think it's a bad policy to kind of take a few reference photos yourself. Why don't you take a photo of it? Because we had that little controversy where Beckett, and again, we're not picking on any grade in particular. They have all had issues in the past. Mm-hmm. But it makes life easier because PSA does have a guarantee in place. So if there is an issue, having a reference photograph, especially if the card is rare, especially if the card is numbered, especially if you've got certain identifiable features on it, it gives you that additional, evidence point to be able to say, hey guys, I sent it to you in this condition. It came back, whatever the holder says, it came back to me in this condition. So here we can look at it, and we can see the two side by side, and we can make a determination. Because Beckett had one that was a PMG. It was a Gretzky PMG. Well, the guy had a picture before, and the guy had a picture after. And very clear there was damage there. Like, it was night and day. We had the two of them, and the PMGs are rare enough that it's like, as long as the serial number matches, like, it's indisputable, right? Mm-hmm. But that's where a reference photo will make your life easier. Again, if it's something that's really that important to you, have at it. Because I sent those cards to Brad that we were talking about, and they're a little bit rarer cards that I have in my collection, more personal PC cards, but I have plenty of photos of them. So it's one of those things, I can go back and pull photos that I have of those cards in question. So if there was any issue, I would actually be able to refer back to a photograph that I have of the exact same item. So it's helpful. It's just having that little extra security, but that's something you can do on your end to take care of yourself.
Yeah, it is one thing too. Like, speaking of it, when you build up relationships in this position, and this is something we all take for granted sometimes, like, sure, we get random people that ship us cards that we don't know, but now in the position, I know 80% of the people that send cards, I know them. Mm-hmm. Like, Carlos, you entrusted me. You said, here's my precious Mike Medanos. Here's the cards. We drove them back from Toronto. We shipped them. When they got to Santa Ana, I felt a huge sense of relief. Like, again, because it's part of that. Like, that's the whole thing. We're taking someone's prized possession and doing it. We had one guy submit cards to us, and they were so cool. It was all from the 70s in hockey, and they're all autographed, and he doesn't want them to go through PSA DNA because he doesn't like the trading cards. So he just wants them authenticated, but through dual service with PSA. He gave me 120, I'm going to say, it was over 100 cards. Good. And they were all autographed. And how he had them, a lot of the leaders cards, like, let's say 75, 76 game-winning goal leaders. Yeah. There's 5 players on it, and he'd have 5 autographs. Like, so it'd have Lafleur, Bossy, or well, not Bossy then, but or Esposito. And it was the coolest things. Again, so when I remember when your package leaves, sometimes you get even more. He would have spent, he's a true collector, to get these cards done, like, I mean, years. Do you know what I mean? Years and years and years to put this collection together. So it's always nice when the cards arrive safe and secure in Santa Ana, California, and if you feel this huge weight off all our shoulders, right? It's nice.
Oh yeah.
Sure. And then, like I said, I offered to send Eric wrapped in it just to make sure. Like, listen, if anything happens, hit the thing on the outside. Protect the cards. It's the only thing I care about. Like, do whatever you need with the rest of it. Throw it out. It's fine. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah.
But we have to take care of the precious cargoes. It's critically important. He'd appreciate it. That's the way he wanted to go out anyway. It's what he needed. But no, that's the thing. It's like we kind of have some fun with it. We lighthearted, but like some folks are submitting the cards because there is a value proposition. They're looking to flip or do whatever. But a lot of folks, it's like, no, they don't need to. The key is always this: you don't ever have to grade anything. It is not required. But if you've got a purpose for it and a reason to do it, and it's your personal collection thing, then they're very important to you. So that's kind of a critical thing. And what is the important to each collector is going to differ, because you never know. A card might not be a big deal to you, but it might be that person's favorite card from when they were a kid or whatever. It could be a million reasons why. It doesn't have to be value. It can be personal value, whatever that might be. So here's Hobby Cop says, have you ever guys had a card big enough to fly it there?
Yep, I did for personal stuff before I took over PSA Canada. I flew to PSA with a backpack and 30 cards, 25 cards. And I think our bill was $50,000 to grade the 25 cards that day. It's crazy. Yeah. That was back in the start of 2020.
Yep. And there were certain specific cards in that particular ones, because Bobby says, tell the story, Brad. Tell the story.
Oh yeah, it was a very unique story, that's for sure. I think I've told it on Carlos's show on Friday, that's for sure. Probably numerous times, but
I would say just but the key is, think of the price point, it's a situation where it was walkthrough, but it was a walkthrough because the cards warranted it. It's one of those things where the cards were valuable enough to warrant the walkthrough. So you can pretty much figure out conceptually in terms of what level of card it is, that you can kind of get the gist of it. So kind of a couple of similar questions. Let me read this one. So Peter Collect here says, how are the July special submissions progressing?
Good. You know what, Peter, I can check. We have a bunch of yours back now, but I'll check to see which ones are there. So most of the July, anything, I'm going to make sure. There could be the odd case, but I'm pretty sure everything left in July are from 95 back, and that's where the lag is. So I think that's it. Everything else has been graded, heading to the shipping department or in QA2 now. So things are really, like, I know some we're still waiting for from that, but everything is still under the time a lot. So if it's 120-day turnaround, we're still under that. Things are flying right now. I did
hear that. I've been hearing from separate PSA orders from different folks that submit personally and different submitters and stuff. It feels like stuff's moving through the system pretty okay for a lot of the stuff. It depends on the items, but a lot of it is moving.
And do you know what I think? If you do your order and your orders, again, this is not from PSA, this is just from our own trial, and we're talking amongst, if your order is perfectly done and all your cards have the spec numbers, Kevin, but if you send in a 400 card order and you have there's an extra 3 cards, or you didn't list a card properly, I feel like that goes to a different lane. If your order is perfect, it seems like it flies right through. Besides anything that's vintage is obviously being held up right now. So,
right.
Sorry, Brad.
Dave,
that's all right.
Dave, here, any issues with customs?
No, absolutely nothing. We work with customs every week. We have amazing broker, who's PSA's broker, Rodolfo Carrell, based in California, that we use, and we have 0 issues.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Nova here said, been collecting since '76. I have probably never get a card graded, which is perfectly fine. No interest for me personally, but I understand why others choose to do it. And I think that, but the key is that's the right attitude. It's one of those things where, and that's why I said what I said a minute ago. It is not necessary. It's a value add, whether it works for you or not. It may add value to you personally, or if you are going to flip a card, or it may be just a situation where put it in a one touch, put it in a top loader, like whatever you need to do. I've always said to folks, like, dude, throw it in a box if you want to. Like, do whatever you want. It's your stuff. If it does have value for you, though, it is an option. And that's basically all we can be offered here. It's just an option if it works for you. So there is value in having card graded for the authentication accent. The number is another matter, which is completely fine, Dave. Now, one thing though, like I said, I've always had this fun conversation with folks that are like, oh, why don't they just offer the authentication? Well, you can just ask them to put authentic on it, but you're going to pay the same. But because if all they did was authenticate, just so you're clear, there would be less stuff submitted. Because most cards don't need it. Most cards do not need authentication. There's a lot of vintage that could still serve some purpose to it, and it would add some value for certain items, but it's very specific cases. So the fact that it's combined the two, as soon as they put the number on top of that flip, it created the industry itself. The same thing happened in coins. Coins started grading earlier than sports cards. Well, the original ones were authentication. It didn't take off until somebody stuck a number on it. As soon as somebody stuck a number on it, all of a sudden, yeah, submit a bunch of this stuff. You didn't need authentication. You wanted a grade on it. That's what you were looking for.
You know, it's funny. There's some things you talk. I had a friend of mine, Derek McCarthy, who does on ice. I played hockey with him. He does on ice training for Crosby, Marchand, McKinnon, and all of them when they're back in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So his daughters play hockey and they're card collectors. He got Sid to sign a jersey this summer, and he put it in the auction for his daughter's hockey team. And the guy that bought it, he called me. He's like, "Yeah, he needs a certificate. He wants to get a certificate for authentication purposes." And I'm like, "Well, why? Like he got it from you. You can have pictures of you on the ice with Crosby. You can show a text message from Crosby saying, 'Yeah, no problem, Deke. You can pick up a jersey over at Mom and Dad's.' Sign. Like, what more?" And the guy wants me to send it to California to get it authenticated by someone in California to send back to him so he can put up on his wall in Cole Harbor. There's a process, and I agree with a lot of things, but there's some things that just don't make sense. And I was trying to explain to the guy, what you have is more authentic than any sticker or piece of paper can ever be possible, right?
Yeah.
So,
no, that's fair. So he was talking about it in terms of the cards you personally flew over. So Brad actually started off, and then came back like the Michelin Man. He goes, "You have anything to clear?" "Nope." It's like, "Sir, I thought I saw you leave." It's like, "You looked a little thinner." "Oh, I ate real well. See you later."
do you know what I did? I flew from here on a friend of mine's private jet, and we went down to Austin, Texas, and then I flew from Austin over to California, got the cards graded, went back to Austin, Texas, and flew back on his jet, so I never had to worry about it, because I couldn't get a straight answer from customs at the time, and that's before I understand the whole process now, and I was very nervous about that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we just went on his. I was lucky enough to have a good friend that said, "Yeah, just hop on with us, no problem." So it was about
so
a
Kevin, when are you
trip.
getting on the Learjet, buddy? When are you getting to fly over on the jet? Come on.
I flew down with my wife. When was that, Brad? February 2021. We went for a week vacation in LA, and I brought some customers' cards to drop off, and went and dropped them off at PSA. And I was concerned about customs, but I just told them what I was doing, and they were more asking questions of what stuff was there and wanted to see it than caring about what it was. They didn't ask for any information, but that was probably just the luck of the draw in Toronto of when I flew. But the only other times that I've gone and dropped stuff off was a Jackie Robinson rookie card. Mm-hmm. But I flew from Michigan, which is about 2 hours from me, so I drove over the border and dropped off. No issues. But I do want a jet. I got to fly stuff back and forth to Brad.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Once a week.
Why don't you pick up the phone and say, like, "Brad, send the jet"? That's not how this works. What the heck, man?
It could.
Like I'm saying, Brad, we got to talk, man. We got to start getting access to the jet. Like there are things that need to happen. Things that need to be done. Kevin, we'll get our hands on the jet, and it's like, yeah, we're taking cards. Yeah, we're gonna lay over in Vegas for a couple of days.
I'll need that next year for sure.
Yeah, lay over in Vegas. Don't worry. I said, Brad, you can come too. Let's go. Vegas. Like, we'll be back. Don't worry about it. Real quick here. PSA is very slow in grading tickets. My express order is still in research and ID since May. Yeah. No, I've heard the tickets one have definitely had some issues. I have heard that a little bit.
Are you seeing some delays with the dual as well, Brad?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There is. Dual takes a little bit longer, but tickets definitely had. Again, there's no real rhyme nor reason sometimes. Like, orders can get stuck. It could be a problem order. It could be something that happened when all of a sudden it goes through the whole process. It gets to the final Q2 stage, and they notice a hair inside a slab. Then that whole order comes off the production line, goes back. They have to keep the whole order intact together. That could be delayed for a month or two after that. That's happened to us lots of times, and then that throws in confusion. But everyone should listen to, too. I know, Carlos, you listen to it. I think Luke and Kevin do, too. But PSA's podcast that they do once a week. Last week, they had Ryan Hoge, who's the new president of PSA, who I don't know. I've never talked to him before. But he did a half-hour segment, and he talked about a few things on it. And it was very nice to see. I don't know. Did you have a chance to listen to it, Carlos? Or
I did, yeah. I listened to that one.
So did you notice his how – one thing he mentioned, which is he a testament to the Toronto show and how successful it was, is international grading on site. Something that I've been pushing for since I started.
Look, I definitely didn't talk to a representative of PSA at the Toronto Expo and flat out said on site.
There you go. So when he says, you can look at it, says it's definitely on their radar. I'm hoping that we could have that possibly in fall of 2023. Again, we're pushing for it. I think it would be a huge service for Canadians. There's still a ton of people in the Canadian market that simply don't want to ship their cards. I talk to people every day that just aren't comfortable with that. I think they'd be blown away with what the success they would have by setting up on-site grading, especially 2023 in November. We all know that kid that's playing in Regina right now, that if we could do some sort of a collaboration with Upper Deck, Series 1 gets released and Bedard's in that, like the sky's the limit for what on-site grading could do. So
there you go.
They might put him in Series 2, so who knows?
There's, you know what? I would absolutely lose my mind if that happened. Connor Bedard has to be in Series 1. Like
He does, yeah.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. It's not like we don't know, guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll have to see. We'll never know. So basically, Bobby was, like I said, since we talked about the jet and everything, Bobby is trying to get you to tell at least part of the story. Do you want to at least give a sliver of it? Like give a condensed version?
You know, I always say I've been very fortunate in different things, but one thing that I didn't do, and I wish I would have. So I had the big cards were 352 tops mantles. And I was sitting on the plane next to, and Aaron Judge was on the plane. When we got off the plane, I stood right beside him. He was with a buddy of his. It was late at night. And I just wanted to show him the cards. Like I wanted to say, check these out and get a picture maybe of him holding these three like absolutely gorgeous mantles. And I didn't do that. So, but after they were graded, I flew back to Austin. My friend has a castle right in downtown Austin. Literally, it's a castle.
So like I said, Kevin, so after we fly into Learjet, visit over in Vegas, then I think we'll stop over at the castle to kind of recuperate and come back. So go on, Brett.
And Kelly Gruber's a good friend of his, and he became a friend of mine as well. And Kelly Gruber came over. We have lots of pictures of him with the mantles, and not so much the Bobby Orrs. No one was really interested in those, but the Jackie Robinson 52s, it was pretty exciting. So
there you go. So real quick, this one, yes. 72 Summit Series cards graded by PSA within 2 months. They were sent in by Classic Auctions and sold. Work well. So good stuff, Canada Blue. Glad to hear it. The Life of Billionaires. Yes, indeed. Tickets take more time researching as well, so that would be understood. That's very true, Bobby. Private jets to grade their baseball cards. Facts. On-site grading in Canada. Will Brad be doing podcasts in the grading room? Allegedly. That is where I shall get my 12s.
There you go.
Why settle for 10s like peasants? We go for 12s around here. I'm copying hundreds of cards pictures, so I need a good story lullaby. There you go, Bobby. So yeah, he's heard the longer version of the story, but at least that was a sliver of it, so that's pretty good. That's not too bad.
So I did do an estimate on the Gretzky rookies. I know I was talking with Bobbles on his show in the chat. So I feel like the number is 329, but I could be off on that. It's over 300 Gretzky rookies is what we did accept at the Toronto show.
Which again, you know, it's well known. Like Luke, you can testify to this. The Gretzky rookie is like the rarest card in the hobby.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on. As you all were saying, it's become a running joke because I have so much fun while I talk to some of the American guys. Guys, these things are common as dirt. It's funny because when the hobby took off, just to refresh everybody's memory, when the hobby took off, a lot of this stuff increased in price. I genuinely don't even like the Gretzky rookie card. Like, I actively dislike it. I had 2 of them. And I actively dislike the damn thing. Like, but it's like I came across them, I bought them at the time, and they made sense. I just wish they had given me the memo that the stupid things were going to become 4 figures for like a beat up destroyed version. Because I had one that was beat up and destroyed, and I had one that was about a 3 or 4. That would have been pretty good. I would have taken that. Jerks. I didn't pay anything for it, and I made money on it, to be fair. I made money on it. But I'm like, y'all could have told me you were going to pay this much for this garbage. I was using them as doorstops. Worthless trash. Come on. So Eric here says, what kind of horseshoe do you carry in your back pocket for you to have the life you have? I need one. Well, you know, just do the opposite of what you do, Eric. That helps a lot. Stay away from the chocolate stick. Stay away, and your life will improve a lot. Yep. Wow, that is a lot. It is. But imagine though, that's those many Gretzky rookies after innumerable Gretzky rookies have been submitted. Every single show, there are Gretzky rookies. That's why I gave the story. Every time I was over by the booth, and I regularly visited because I would come and chat with folks a little bit just to see how they were doing.
After lunch.
Yeah, absolutely. After lunch. Morning isn't even a thing, Kevin. We don't even acknowledge. Morning is for poor people and peasants. We don't do that. We don't do mornings. We have brunch, and then we consider things after brunch. But every time I came by, there were Gretzky rookies on the table being submitted every single time. And it wasn't like I came by once or twice. I came by a couple of different times on every single day, at least to say hello or pop in or grab a snack behind the curtain. But regardless, every single time there were Gretzky rookies on the table.
It was crazy.
Without exception. Without fail and without exception. At some part of the table, there was a Gretzky rookie being submitted. At least one.
Every single time someone would be like, I have a card to grade, pull out a Gretzky rookie. Every time it was a single card, it was 100% of the time a Gretzky.
Yes,
every time.
For sure. And that's the thing, but you just have to imagine, that is one show, certainly one of our largest shows we got here, but still, all the time, a regular procession of them. Think of how many decades worth of them have been submitted and graded already. These were fresh ones to the market. They weren't being cut up, they weren't being cracked and resubmitted necessarily. These were pretty much all fresh. They're like, oh, can I get my Gretzky rookie authenticated or graded? You mean all the other ones? Thousands of them?
Yeah, I think there's 85, around 8,500 graded by PSA.
Wow.
Yep. Tack on another 300 and change.
Yeah.
So it's there you go. So let's go here. It's blasphemous, but I'd rather have a high-grade Topps Gretzky than a Peachy one. In relative terms, it's probably much less common, especially for a high grade. Brad, have you ever submitted a Gretzky rookie and thought it had a chance of a PSA 10? Have you ever? I think we've talked about a couple of them that you thought were really high grade. But did you think it had a shot at a 10?
I did. I honestly, I thought one that I had at the National this year.
Yeah.
That it was 50-50. Everything about it was perfect. I submitted 2 or 3 last year that we talked about on your show, Carlos, Friday night. That I was like, guys, I don't know, these things look absolutely perfect. And the highest grade I've ever got back is an 8.5. And that was for a guy about 6 months ago. He got back an 8.5. I've never got a 9. I don't think I've ever owned a 9. I don't know if 10 years ago, I don't think I ever did, because I feel like I probably would have kept it if I would have ever came across it. Right. Yeah, I have an 8 now that we bought, and but my favorite one's a 7, which I bought back in 1988. So, and it's a superior rating from PWCC. Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's the nicest Gretzky in the world, along with everyone else that owns one. So
there you go. I'll check some of my doorstop and see if I can find it at 10. I'll get back to you on that. So Rod here says, hopefully you don't have to give the bad news that they're counterfeited. I wasn't around for any of that, but I'm sure you guys have definitely delivered that one. There are plenty of counterfeits out there. There's tons.
Yeah, there's a lot. And there was quite a few at the show that came up. I did on this orders here that I processed. I'm not sure, Luke, or if you guys seen any lately, but I think I sent in 2 or 3 cards on this order that just went that I know are counterfeit. That I'm 99.9%. And usually I'll call the person, but I remember these people did submit them at the show. Mm-hmm. I think Kevin, one of them was a friend of yours that submitted a 33 Gaudi Ruth. I looked at it.
Oh again. Yeah, that was Nick. He even was like, I don't think so. If it is, it's been bleached and cleaned. And
yeah. But one of the things you can do now with the lower price of grading, to be sure, they sent the 33 Gaudi Ruth in at bulk. I could put the value down at $100. Nice. But again, just to be sure, right?
Yeah, for the authentication thing, it makes sense. But you do have to kind of sit back and be like, so if it is good, you're gonna have to pony up because that's gonna get hit. You're not getting in under the 199. Just so you know, you're not getting in under that one. It's gonna be a little higher than that. So Peter Collect, what's the best guess on percentage total Gretzky that are currently graded? Over under 50%? If you're doing 50%, it's way under. Super way under. Because the reality is, like I said, I joke about them being doorstops because it's fun to tease the Americans with it. But they were not rare. They were not rare by any... Again, back in the day of the Expo. Like I said, I had 2 of them almost by accident. Mm-hmm. And there were tables where some of the dealers would have an entire showcase full of the damn things, all kinds of conditions, high, medium, low. And if you wanted ones in KSA holders, there were dealers who had whole cases of KSA holders. If you wanted PSA ones, they had those. You want SGC, sure, Beckett, yeah, why not? Or BVG, I should say. But they were available in multiple different graded, or if you wanted raw ones, they were available all the time. And for a long time, I want to say the one that I got that was a 3. I want to say I paid less than $300 for it. It was decent. It came back as a 3. It was a solid. It was a nice card. But yeah, they were totally available, and it wasn't like 25 years ago. It was more like 8 or 9, 10 years ago, and they were 100% available. That recent run up got them up for a little while. I think they've come back a little bit, but they're higher than they were. They certainly are higher than they were. It's going to cost you more now to get one. Bobby says here, my friend who worked at Opeachy, 779 year came out. They worked 24/7, getting production done on time. There was plenty of 79 Opeachy cards are available in abundance. There's plenty of them. Yeah, that's why they're cut so bad they were exhausted. There you go. Yep, 99.9% sure. How apropos to use that number for Gretzky. Look at you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but that's the thing. It's like, it became a thing where people, what's funny and ironic about this is people got more excited for the Gretzky rookie when the price suddenly went up with the rest of the market, even though they were available for years on those tables. And the price was steady. The price was consistent. It was good, but it wasn't like it hadn't exploded because it was the Gretzky rookie. It was still the Gretzky rookie. It was the Gretzky rookie in '89. It was the Gretzky rookie in '95. It's the Gretzky rookie in 2000. Nothing changed. But then all of a sudden the prices started escalating, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I have to have a Gretzky rookie. Where were you the last 15 years when you could have had one for a song? You could have your choice. You could have picked the nicest one you liked from the group in the case. They were all available. Anybody could have bought one. I don't know.
I just popped over I just wanted to see. So there's about 23,086 Flair Jordans graded by PSA. So 8,000 Gretzky's, 23,000 Jordans. Then I checked the 80, the Magic Bird.
Yes.
And there's 13,000 of those graded by PSA.
Yeah.
So I think those numbers would probably, I think PSA would be the leader for Gretzky's. I didn't check on Beckett to see where they would be.
Well, I don't think you have time for 547 clicks. And then I have to log in and give you my birth certificate. What kind of authentication process is this? I just want to check pop reports. God, it's bad, man. It's bad.
I just did that today, and I was like, every time I clicked it, it took me somewhere else. I was like, where is this? Like,
Yeah.
I gave up.
Look, the good news is the CEO is a technology guy. Maybe you can fix the website. They are updating it like one page at a time, literally one page at a time.
Yeah.
Get there eventually. Brad, at the rate you're going, you'll have the PSA Canada website up and running. We'll have connections with PSA. We'll be able to do all kinds of fancy stuff, and we'll have web graphics and everything. It'll be phenomenal. And Beckett will still be like on page 14.
There's a ton of work to put that we forget about on the back end to enter all the cards like into the PSA system or to any grading company to have that whole back end. Like every time there's a new product, you have to get every variation. Like I know this is the most I've been doing, the most subs I've done in a long time over the last week by entering the cards in. And it's pretty cool that almost everything is in there. Like very few cards don't exist that people grade in the PSA database right now.
Well, there's
I seem to find quite a few, Brad.
In sports cards and non-sports cards. Or sorry, non-sport. Yeah, in non-sport and sports cards, there's very few that are not in PSA's database.
Well, in fairness, Pokemon kind of cheats, Kevin. I saw a little YouTube short from one of the folks that I follow who does some video game content and stuff, and they revealed I think it's the 10,000th Pokemon. Like, am I close on this? Like, it's something like that.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I think it's the 1,000.
Whatever.
Pokemon.
That doesn't matter. It's a specific number. But the damn thing looks like a cheese string. Like,
there's some funny ones now. Now there's an ice cream cone. I'm like, you guys have just given up at this point. Like,
this is the point. Look, the number itself is less important to me than the fact it looks like a cheese string. It looks like a cheese string with like eyes, and I'm like, it's like, yo, you're not even trying. It literally looks like a cheese string. I swear to you. Go look at this stupid thing. 1,000, 10,000. I don't care. Find the thing. It's a cheese string. And I was like, what is this idiocy? He's like, y'all get paid for this crap? Come on.
I just checked the Beckett Gretzky's. It's
Mhm.
4,280.
All right. So yeah, tack that on. So tack that on. And you said it was like 8,000 change. Brad,
Yeah,
for-
so about 12. How many
Yes.
Jordans, Luke, if you can check to see? I'm curious about that because I feel like Jordans will probably be
Basketball
Beck-
cards. Beckett had a pretty good run with basketball cards. They were getting a lot of submissions, especially from the OG basketball guys in the 90s, because they were really into like submitting a lot of their stuff. So it's definitely a thing. Bobby here says, tell me about it. Just doing up to 1990. Absolutely. 100%. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. We'll have to see. Just to give everybody a little heads up ahead of time, is that Brad and I also kind of talk here. Right now, we're at the end of November, so we still got some time. But as we head into the holidays, we'll start figuring out what the holiday schedule is going to look like. We'll start at least giving it some thought ahead of time. As always, I do
Two
mention,
days.
might have to. But what I'm going to mention to you is that the same rules apply as everything else, though. When we're doing these live streams, if you check out on the replay, you can leave comments in the comment section. We will come back and reply to them. I saw a couple of ones that are kind of a little bit sillier, but I'll reach out to the team and be like, just answer it. Just answer it. It's still on them to answer it, but I'll make sure that they get to it. But if there is like a more pressing question or like a more serious question, we'll make sure that it gets responded to. Or if not, on the next episode, we'll come and address it directly. So that'll be part of it. I think there was one question that was asking about the website. Obviously, we talked about it last week. We talked about it this week. And we'll remind you going forward as it gets updated. So, but it's psacanada.ca. So if you're curious if there's a website, the answer is yes. It's psacanada.ca. I'll add it to the little scrolling ticker later, just so that we've got that as well. But that is your reminder. It does exist, and it is there, and it's getting updated. So as it gets more traction, we'll start mentioning it more, and we'll make sure you really get a chance to see it. Outside of that, we'll have to see how the rest of the holiday year goes in. If you've got any thoughts or topics, because it is the PSA Canada Hobby Talk, but it is Hobby Talk above all else. We even talk about the cheese string Pokemon. Like, how exciting is that? Cheese string Pokemon. I'm thrilled. I'm excited. And we're trying to book a Learjet so we can go to Vegas. Like, as far as I'm concerned, this is an extremely productive episode.
I would fly to Vegas. I would fly to Vegas, Brad. Make it happen.
Yeah. It's like, Brad, I barely need an invitation. You don't have to twist my arm, buddy. I'm there. Let's go.
There's 13,100 Jordans.
Okay. That's from Beckett alone?
Yeah, Beckett, yeah.
Wow. That's like I said, though, the basketball guys went ham on the Beckett, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a big numbers. Here you go. I like Bobby's comment here. 4,280 BGS Gretzky's graded, 4,200 from Sheets. Somebody went there. I like what you did. I don't condone this behavior. I encourage it.
I'm looking up the Pokemon for you there.
The old cheese string Pokemon?
The cheese string Pokemon.
Yeah, like I don't know what it's called, but I looked at it and I go, that's a cheese string. As far as I'm concerned, I've seen this before.
It legitimately looks like a cheese string.
Kevin, like, look, I make fun of a lot of things. I was being serious about this. I've seen this Pokemon in the food aisle, okay? Like, I've seen it in the frozen food section.
Oh boy, that's a rough one.
It's like, justify that one, sir. I'm secretly hoping that becomes like I wanted to replace the Charizard as like the iconic Pokemon. I want the cheese string Pokemon to become the one. I want it. I want it so badly to become the one.
If something replaces the Charizard, I have a lot more explaining to do about why I have so many Charizards. Okay?
So good. I love it.
I don't do that. My first edition PSA 6 is I don't want anyone to replace Charizard.
But it's the cheese string, Brad. It's the cheese string. See, at least the Digimon, you stuck Amon at the end of everything. I want it to be cheese string Amon. That was fun. I like that they just stuck Amon to the end of everything. Is Fanatics still buying Panini? I think we're on like month 5 of that process.
What is going on with that?
The thing is, the rumor has been out there forever, and people look to like every hint. It's like it's the great conspiracy theory. They see signs and everything. It does make sense in a lot of ways, but you got to remember, Panini still holds the licenses for a little while. So they're kind of in this balancing act like, okay, long term, these licenses don't hold any value, but they're not expiring today. They're not expiring tomorrow. We can make a lot of money on this. We don't have to sell the sport trading card division. We could basically license it out for the remainder of the time and let it ride out the string. Like, there's different ways that Panini could play this. Because they have their North American operations, but they've also got their international operations. Their international operations are not affected by this in the slightest. That's the thing. People forget that Panini is not like this one little area. They're doing other stuff too. So they could just spin it off, option, They could just license it out and be like, all right, here you go. You can have the licenses. Here's our fee. Take it for the remaining time and then roll from there. Or they could just be like, all right, fine, spin it off. It just depends on what they want to do. And Fanatics at the same time, it was easier when Fanatics was able to just print money. They could do rounds and rounds and rounds of funding. But eventually they run out of cash with all the stuff they bought. And like, I'm not going to announce it here, but I'm selling my YouTube channel to them for at least 8 figures. So if they're going to buy that from me, they may not have money left to buy Panini. At which point, I will sell out so hard. Like, y'all don't even know.
Well, it's interesting too when you think of. I mean, obviously, we don't know what their revenue stream is, but there's an awful lot of retail product that's out there that's not moving right now.
Yeah, right now it's not a good time to be sitting there in acquisition mode. You better have a lot of cash sitting around. Now, if you have a ton of cash, then it makes sense to be in acquisition mode because you can get discounts. Right now, don't wait for Black Friday. Right now, if you're a business and you're flush with cash, every day is Black Friday for you right now. Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to get out of my position. You have cash? I'll take cash. Sure. Cash talks really loud right now. But Fanatics doesn't have cash. They have leverage. They have a ton of leverage, just like a lot of other businesses do. They can't just run around and buy anything. I was sure they were going to completely hoard the position on the Cheese Stringamon. It was going to be very exciting. I was hoping Fanatics would personally buy them all. It's going to be great. And by the way, until somebody figures out what the real name of it, that's what I'm calling it.
I'm gonna find it just so you stop calling it that.
I'm gonna make it happen, Kevin. It's the Cheese Stringamon until further notice.
What?
And even after they correct me, I'm sticking to it. All right, gentlemen. So here's a question. So, is there anything else we want to touch on tonight? Like I said, today was going to be more of a free-flowing kind of hanging out, chatting a little bit. But is there anything else anybody wants to touch on this week?
Luke, we should say you're going to be in Thunder Bay, Ontario this weekend.
Saturday show. Leaving tomorrow morning.
Whereabouts is it?
Ooh la la.
I don't know, actually, to be honest with you. Ralph Rosengren, who's one of my good customers, he is putting on a show there, and so it's just a local little show and stuff like that. But there's a lot of guys that submit that are like interested and they have questions. So we're gonna have like I get there at about 5 o'clock, I think it is. And so we had planned for Friday night to actually have like a question answer kind of things about grading and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday is when the actual show is. So see how that goes. But yeah, it's at a hotel. Honestly, I don't know which one.
A hotel in Thunder Bay. Y'all randomly go to hotels in Thunder Bay, and if you see Luke, you know you're on the right one.
Ralph's picking me up at the airport, and he's driving me there, and that's
it. We're not leaving Luke in charge of promos for shows going forward. It's like, it's a hotel in Thunder Bay. And there can't be that many hotels in Thunder Bay. There's
only one, isn't there?
Like, there's got to be like one.
Okay, there's more than one.
That's the problem. That's the problem, Kevin. It's like, this promo just didn't work out at all. We're trying to give him something. We're trying to throw him a bone over there. Jeez. Yeah, so there is only one hotel in Thunder Bay. There you go. Whatever that one is, that's the one. Find Luke, and you know you're in the right place.
Yep.
Sounds good. I like it. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Anything else we want to touch on?
No, I do. I want to say thanks to Luke and Sherry too for going out to Vancouver, doing the Bossa show, which was a big success, and thanks to Dale, who puts on a great show. And
you know what? I almost forgot. So thank you for mentioning that. Real quick, actually, can we get a little report from that show because you guys were out west? So how was it? Can you give us a little quick rundown on it? And please don't tell us it was a hotel in the middle of the West. Because that's not going to help us. Could you be a little more specific?
No, they had several, so there's Sandman there as well. Right?
Gotcha.
So,
all right, go on.
You know what? This is the third time I've been to the Boston shows and stuff, and he puts on little shows. Yeah. Quite honestly, you know what? I felt the traffic there is very consistent. It was always busy. It's a good show to go and mingle and buy stuff.
All right.
Dealers are very open to making deals. As for submissions and stuff, I mean, we were pretty slow in the first couple of days and stuff, but the last day was just everyone just brought all this stuff over. I would probably be guessing that we probably got somewhere in between, I'd say maybe 2,500 to 3,000 to be conservative, maybe perhaps. But
that's pretty good.
I mean,
that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's the time thing. So I came back. Brad threw like 1,500 slabs for me. I had to sort them all out, get it all out. Did about, driving around the city, dropping off cards for people, meeting people, and then just to get them out of the house. And then now I have to process it. Well, now the Thunder Bay, and after Thunder Bay, I'm hoping to get these done by next Friday. So hopefully I'll have a strong number next week.
Nice. Were you able to get out on the floor and look at anything for yourself, or it was mostly just focusing on the grading?
Mostly focusing on the grading. I mean, we
Sure.
can get out on Saturday so that, or sorry, Sunday, but Saturday was, there's it's all of the very very similar to all the other shows, right? You geographically wherever you're at is where you have more of the things. So I mean, a lot more Vancouver stuff, a lot more, Vancouver, and some of the stuff is actually really neat. I mean, there's a couple of things like people brought in that were pretty cool, like some of the tickets from, some Stanley Cup winning games and stuff like that. And one guy actually brought in this booklet of all the tickets from, they're all attached. So he works at a law firm. He's a lawyer. So I mean, he works at a law firm. He brought all these tickets and wanted to see if they would grade the whole book. It had like 6 tickets on each book. So when you went to the game, you actually ripped it out and brought it in, but he never went to the games. So he had these tickets still intact. I'm like, well, why would you grade that? If you're going to grade it, why would you grade? Because you can't see the tickets. Right? You can't grade each piece. So, I mean, in order for him to look at, he'd have to rip it out and, then send it that way, which he could have. I mean, he said it was like 32 cards or something like that, or sorry, tickets. Would have been quite a bit for him to grade it stuff, but he wanted to keep it intact. And I think that was the best thing for him to do, was to keep it intact. Like that.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, you see a lot of different things like that. So.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
You're breaking up a little bit at the end, but we were able to hear the story, so that's perfect. So thank you for that. But that's good. That's good to hear that it was a steady show. Right now, it's kind of interesting. I'm kind of listening in on those show recaps and stuff. I'm kind of so far, like I said, on this side of the border, it's been like a lot of these shows. Like people come in, as long as the dealers are willing to work with people, I feel like it's been good. As long as they're willing to do that work with you, if they're sticking strong to those prices, then you run a museum, and then you're probably not going to have a great show. I think you got to be a little bit flexible if you want to make business. I think that's very important. But no, that's good to hear as far as that's concerned. But I think that'll be good. Now, one thing, like I said, we'll come back on the subsequent shows here for the rest of the year, and we'll start giving everybody the schedules ahead of time. Especially as we get into the holidays, we'll start giving everybody a heads up. So just reminding everybody who's still here that hanging out. And we'll figure it out. As always, thank you all for the comments and everything. So I always appreciate that. There you go. You're around the shop tomorrow, Brad. We'll pick up and start a new order.
I'm going to be there first thing tomorrow morning till probably close to noon, and then I'll be there all day Saturday. So
there you go, Hobby Cop. Good stuff.
Oh, and tomorrow
You guys have
night.
your trading tomorrow night. Yeah, you guys have your trading tomorrow night.
Yeah, and tomorrow night I'll be there from 5 to 8 for trade night, which is was a huge success every time we've done it. So I think tomorrow night's going to be even better. So
love it. Kevin, any last thoughts here before we wind her down?
No. I'm just gonna go back to inputting. That's what I'm gonna do for the rest of the night tonight.
Nice.
Back to work. Back to the grind.
And I wanted to give him time to make sure and ask him that question, Brad. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because henceforth, it is Cheese String Upon. And that is now canon. It is the Cheese String 'em on. It's too late. You're not changing it now. I've renamed it. I don't care what the real name is now.
I'll change it. I'll call Pokemon.
It's way too late. I'm sorry. Exactly. You get them on that. It is now the Cheese String 'em on. Done. It is done.
I wonder if they realized.
It's like, I don't think they even knew what they did. That's their fault, not mine. Anyway, so I'll leave you all on that note. Again, anybody stateside who checks it out on replay or whatever the case may be, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your remaining Turkey Day. Enjoy your Black Friday. On my channel, I'll be doing the live stream for the Black Friday live stream. 50% off Bad Sports Opinions. 50% off, man. It's huge savings. Huge. Black Friday. Don't say I don't do anything for Black Friday. You're damn right I did it for Black Friday. I took 50% off. I'm still charging Eric the same amount for the like button. Exactly the same. In fact, I might charge him double. But the point is, it'll be 50% off the Bad Opinions. Come on. That's pretty tempting.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty good. Anyway, guys, so I appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll be back next week. It'll be same time. Thursday, it'll be 9 p.m. Eastern time, as is usually the case, so we'll stick to the standard. And Eric is super excited. Absolutely. Black Friday deals, except for the like button, I'm charging you double. You keep it up, I'm charging you triple. Unless you can bring the Cheese String 'em on to me. Otherwise, I acknowledge nothing.
I'll
All
get
right,
the
folks.
first card from that, and I'll get it graded, even if it's like a 1 penny card, and I'll give it to you.
I think it's the least you can do. Like after I named the damn thing, as long as they label it correctly, that's the important part. As long as they label it. All right, have yourselves all a good night. Appreciate you all hanging out. We'll be back next week. We'll catch you then.
See you guys.
Perfect.